Welcome everyone to a new series of videos called the Minecraft Ideas Academy. Each video will cover a different aspect of game design that is specific to suggestions and vanilla style mods. Today I'm joined by Vazkii, a prominent modder in the Minecraft community. Tell us a bit more about what you do.
So, I make Quark and a lot of other mods. If you're watching this, most likely you know me from Quark, which is a mod that adds vanilla style features to the game. It's fully modular, you can disable whichever features you don't want. And if you're interested, there should be a link in the description if you guys do your job properly. I'm already being condescending. I'm sorry. But it should be there.
Don't worry Vazkii, I'll make sure it's in the description. Anyway, you've made a lot of Minecraft mods, so what's the journey been like for you?
So I've been doing this nonsense for like 8 years now. I started modding probably before you guys even heard of Minecraft. Started around April 2011, I'd say. So it's been a long journey. Like, I've gotten a lot of knowledge in game design and just how the game works in general from there to now. And if you compare the stuff I did then to the stuff I did now, it's just leaps and bounds in difference in quality. I've seen a lot of things come and go, and I've seen a lot of events happen in the community, so I'm probably a person that's very good when it comes to not repeating mistakes mods I've done in the past. Unfortunately, nowadays I'm not exactly active in making all sorts of crazy stuff. I mostly just do Quark now, but I've seen some shit.
I see. Is there anything you wish you could do to improve? Any goals, any plans for the future?
I have a lot of interesting ideas when it comes to Quark. Quark has a few restrictions. Like, one of the restrictions is that everything has to be independent of each other. So you can't make a feature that requires something from another feature. You have to make it work without that thing. So that is a bit of a hurdle for game design. I'm trying to think of a way of getting that fixed up, but it most likely is going to have to be stuff for other mods. I've been talking with some people who are also making vanilla style mods, and the vanilla style mod community has been booming recently in the last year or so. For mods like Inspirations and Charm, and the Minecraft Abnormals teams are doing. There's some very interesting stuff in the horizon there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of what everyone else is doing. And I want to try and start compiling that into a vanilla expansion pack that keeps the team. I mean, I've done that type of pack before, but now that we're seeing a lot more vanilla style content coming out, it could probably be a lot more interesting, I'd say.
It's awesome that you're excited for those. My aim is to have them all really cohesive with not just within themselves, but with each other. Just more interaction, more mods, and just kind of making a more community vibe. So playing with the mods, testing them, not just for bugs, but for kind of feature levels and balancing, and just how it feels in general, and just kind of make a really, really polished experience that rivals things like Minecraft updates themselves. So that's the dream.
That's interesting. That's a thought I've considered for Quark. I've considered developing updates more along that line. So be like, this is the cave update for Quark, and it has like 10 new cave features. This is the end update, it has 10 new end features. So on and so forth. But one of the things I feel for Quark is that you can't go too deep, because a lot of things in vanilla updates are things that people would normally not consider Minecraft styled. Like, they have been pushing the boundary of what you could have in a Minecraft update recently. Like, personally, there's some stuff in both 1.13 and 1.14 that I think is pushing the boundary. And when you're doing a mod, it's very hard to add something that everyone considers Minecraft styled, because everyone has their different bubble of what they think would be right for vanilla. A Quark has vertical slabs, which are something a lot of people want for vanilla, but Minecraft Mojang themselves have said they don't want it. And a lot of the features that would be changing content in the game that would go deeper are always going to have some sort of impact in that front of people thinking, oh, this is not vanilla styled. So I think you guys have a bit more leeway in that way. You make more separate mods, one for each thing, where Quark just tries to be more generic around all the places, you know?
Well, generally my philosophy and a lot of people's philosophy is that we don't really care if something doesn't feel vanilla. Like, if it's just a feeling, then we might not see that as relevant unless someone can actually explain. Take Endergy's suggestions, for example. They seem like they make really good mods, and they have so far. But take his Soul Wastes one, for example, which is suspiciously similar to the Soul Sand Valley. He's got a spirit mechanic where you can change out different animals' souls. So you can have peaceful souls, hostile souls, cheeky souls, that sort of stuff. Like, all that massive soul mechanic might not seem something that would go into vanilla, but it allows for a lot of creativity and it impacts a lot of different parts of the game. So, for example, you could possess other people in PvP, or you could switch out animal souls to make killer chickens, or something funny like that. If it's got a sandboxy vibe, and if it's thematically consistent, and if it satisfies most of vanilla's design principles, then the feeling that a lot of people have when they say, this doesn't feel vanilla. Well, what is vanilla? That's why we're trying to come up with a concrete list of rules or things that it has to kind of follow and take inspiration from, so that we can kind of say, yep, this is vanilla. This sounds like something that Mojang might add, even if a lot of people say, oh, wow, that sounds modded, you know?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, even stuff like in 116, you're having people go, "This looks like a mod." It's just, it's very difficult to do something that pleases the vast majority of people when each one is in their different bubble, and the Venn diagrams don't tend to intersect that much. Like, Quark tries to go for the areas where the diagrams do intersect more, and that's part of why I think it's popular. But sometimes I want to do something that's a bit more to the side, and that can generate a lot of controversy.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Iron Rod. Something was posted on Feed the Beast a while ago, which basically just had a ball worm with Quark's iron rods breaking the blocks. And, like, I think if vanilla were to do direct block breakers, they'd probably make it harder to do. So, for example, you got Psycraft with their TNT dupers that just bomb the landscape until it's nothing. That sounds like something, because it's kind of unintended and it comes from something that's already in the game and that's very hard to set up, so it's kind of balancing in that, balanced itself in that regard. So, like, it's a simple feature. It's something Vanilla said they hadn't added, but it's something a lot of people who play modded, like not Vanilla modded, but just modded, would probably be interested in, just having a tunnel bore.
I think people who play Vanilla will be interested in that too. It's just a matter of what you're expecting from the game. Because I feel that players who play heavy modded, they have a very different idea of what should be in the game than those who play more vanilla style. So let's say you play vanilla and your gameplay style is like you like doing redstone stuff. You have to be careful when you try and look at what would be a good addition. Like, I watch a lot of suggestion videos from people like Sark, Mumbo, Green, like all the videos they tend to post, along that zip too.
They're all very good, yes.
Most of them are good, but at a lot of time you tend to see things that, if this was added, this would entirely compromise the gameplay experience. There's a lot of things that sound good in paper and not really great in development. Like, there are things in Quark that I would not add to vanilla itself. There are things that I think should stay in a mod, and Iron Rods, in that case, are one of those. I feel like they are too easy to get working into doing something like that. I feel they're fun. They're definitely a lot of fun. But I personally would not have them in vanilla itself. But in other case, there's things that are just so obvious that I feel like they might just be storing them for later versions, like variant chests or some of that type of stuff. One thing I was going to say is that when you play one area of the game, you might not exactly understand how something impacts another area of the game. So, like, let's say you're a highly technical player and you want, really, really efficient block breaking methods to get a lot of blocks at once. In a way that kinda undermines the players who enjoy just chill mining, getting all the resources, and then going to build with those resources. Like, the easier the resources are to acquire, the less valuable they are. If you can just get a few dozen chests of a thing with very little effort, that thing is not valuable at all. And the things you make with that thing are also not particularly valuable. And I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but builders, like really big builders, tend to want ways to place a lot of blocks at once. That also kind of devalues the feeling of, I made a big structure, because it's easy. The thing you did stops becoming an achievement. You have to be careful with what you add.
Yeah, the rewarding has to be balanced with the effort. And also, not to mention, placing a lot of blocks at once would violate Vanilla's design principle of one action per block. So nothing like vein miners, tree fellers, 3x3 miners. But stuff like that kind of affects the environment, which causes that, like scaffolding. You mine one block, the rest go, but that's because they depended on that scaffolding. So that's kind of in-world and not directly caused by the player. It's quite an iffy principle. But, and also Kojo at Minecon, he answered one of my questions, which was basically, how do you make things for vanilla and how do you design them? And what's the best thing to keep in mind when you're making vanilla style mods or suggesting stuff for vanilla? And he really stressed the point of making sure that it works with everything else. You have to do a lot of testing to see how it will impact this completely different part of the game somehow, and just make sure that it fits thematically, that sort of stuff. Like, there's a lot of unpredictability in game design, I agree.
But that's the thing, the biggest part of game design is predicting what the things do. Not necessarily predicting, sometimes you have to throw it to testers for them to break it. But if you just add things willy-nilly because they sound nice, you're always gonna end up with a hodgepodge of stuff that doesn't work at all, You need to consider how what you add impacts everything else.
Add things willy-nilly because they sound nice. It's like half of low-effort vanilla style mods.
That's what I was saying. It's just r/Minecraft suggestions.png.
Oof.
It's true though. Like, a lot of people just go there like, man, this idea would be awesome. But you have to try and contextualize it with the rest of the game and try to understand how that would break certain things, and sometimes not even break. Like, breaking is a really strong term for changes that might adversely affect the gameplay in general. For example, this one is from Botania. So, Botania had the Daybloom flowers.
Ah, yes.
Which would generate mana from the sun for free, effectively. And a lot of people tend to say, oh, don't like a thing, then don't use it. But that's just not valid. Cause
it's the same thing with AFK fishes. Someone else is going to use them.
Yeah,
and it's going to be seen to accommodate it.
Exactly. Like, if they're there, they're going to be using it. It's normal human psychology to use all the tools available to you. So, if there is something, it's going to be used. If it's good, it's going to eclipse the things that are not as good. And one thing I remember Mark Rosewater, the lead designer for Magic the Gathering, said at JDC once. He said, it is the job of the designer to make it so that the players do not have to find fun. The fun just comes to them. So the corollary of this is you should make the most engaging part the most fun one as well. So if you have something that's really powerful but just kind of gets boring after a while, that's when you fail as a designer, because players are going to chase that because it's really powerful, but it's not as fun, and they're not going to use the other things that are more fun because they are less powerful. You want to tie the most fun things to the ones that are the most powerful, so that players who are just following their natural human instincts go and find the most fun content.
I also heard another quote, I don't know who from, but it was, given the opportunity, players will optimize all the fun out of the game. Yes. And I think an example from vanilla would be AFK fishing farms. Like, currently, once you get diamonds, you got an enchantment table. While mending, the best way to get that is through AFK fishing farms. And mending is really important to have on your tools. And also XP, you need to get that from grinders. Now, I'm not saying break AFK fishing farms or break grinders.
Break XP fishing farms.
You need to... Well, I mean, Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I don't know. It would need some stuff to replace it. Now that if mix-ins work in Forge soon, I might see if I can try and get a better fishing style that inadvertently breaks it.
They're in Forge now.
I'll have to see how they work. But I I kind of agree with AFK fishing farms. I just don't want salty people in the comments.
I mean, whenever you take away toys from someone, they're gonna get mad. That's just the nature of things. But you just have to do it sometimes, because if you let them keep the toys for too long, they're gonna ruin the game with them.
Yeah, good point. But also, to soften that blow, you got to add stuff that kind of balances that out. So, for example, if you nerf, if you just break AFK fishing farms, where are people going to get their mending? Where are people going to get their all their enchanted books? And where are people going to get their XP? I mean, we still have mob grinders, but we kind of want to make it so that you don't have to use it. So once you got to the enchantment section, you want to enchant your stuff. You got like maybe 30 levels. You enchant one thing, and then you have to go and get some more XP. So, instead of essentially forcing people to either use mob grinders or just go around and fight stuff all the time, which people might not want to do, or go to the nether and mine a bunch of quartz that you're never going to use and you just want the XP. Instead of that, I got Logitech Corp Creative NetherX to make a mod called Reagent Chant, and it basically adds a slot in the enchantment table, and you can put an item called a reagent in it. So you put blaze powder, and it will increase the chance of getting fire-related enchantments. So the unpredictability of the enchantment table isn't eliminated, but it's lessened. It's kind of like your candles feature that does a similar thing in Quark, except that Reagent Chant is pretty much completely configurable. You can change a chance, you can change what item is tied to which enchantment, and also whether that item is from modded or vanilla. It doesn't matter. And also it allows for a lot more progression.
Configuration is not something you should be designing around, because 99% of players are not going to config. Right?
Yeah, well, it was interesting for people who want to make their own mod packs. So, for example, King Lemming's got a vanilla style mod with a bunch of enchantments. Mm-hmm. And, like, if we didn't have that configured, we couldn't link those enchantments up to reagents. So that's the main reason.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have to config. That would be hypocritical as hell, because you've seen Quark. Quark is like a 3,000 line config file. So, you should have the configs, of course, but you shouldn't base your designs around people going in and changing. The default should be the correct way to do things, in my opinion.
The default is the correct way for the most part. For example, we got a nether star that gives 100% chance of mending. Like, we couldn't really think of a other suitably OP thing for mending, but yeah, like, most of the stuff is pretty good as it is. We've just linked up vanilla enchantments with vanilla items, and that kind of reduces the need to get a lot of XP, because you're gonna probably get the enchantments that you want first time. And also, if you make fishing more interesting, which is what we're trying to do in Upgraded Aquatic eventually, if we can get mix-ins working, then we can try and do that too, which will kind of inadvertently break them, but paired with Reagent Chant, people probably aren't going to miss them.
Believe me, they are. They are.
Well, less people are going to miss them, is my point.
No. Cameron, you are underestimating the player base. Like, entirely. Let me tell you this. If that feature in Upgrade Aquatic is configurable, I am telling you straight out, there will not be a single mod pack with it turned on. Trust me. I've been there. People do not like having their toys taken away. It would have to be something in the vanilla level. Listen, I'll just say this in 3 words. 1.9. Do I have to go any further with this?
No, I mean, I've made several videos explaining why a game rule would be a bad idea, and I was able to bring over a couple of people, including Tenebris. But mainly, that's because I said make it even more configurable and make everything data-driven, and they're like, well, I mean, if it can bring back 1.8, we're all good. So, like, yeah, I definitely see your point.
I understand the reason why you would want 1.8 combat. Like, I personally do prefer the 1.9 plus combat, but I can see the reasons for people to enjoy 1.8 more. It's faster, right? Yeah, it's kind of spam quick fast, but it's faster, and there's reasons for you to enjoy it. I think going against people who would just want it is not really right. I mean, they have the right to want a different style of gameplay. I think ideally, the best thing would be to allow for items to have that property, have like a no cooldown tag, and then the servers could just force every item to have that tag if they wanted to. You would just fix the problem and not break survival at all, you know? That would be my way of doing that, but yeah.
Not everyone hates just the cooldown though. Some people don't like shields, some people don't like other stuff that's added in 1.9, which is why I kind of expanded that idea to be completely configurable.
But that's fine though, like, because here's the thing, you already have options for weapon damage and weapon cooldown speed. You just do not have the ability to have no cooldown yet.
And you also need a way for the server to try and control that so that it's not exploitable.
No, I mean, it will be as exploitable as it was in 1.8. That's what people want.
Yeah, but I mean exploitable as in like they can use a hacked client or something.
I mean, you're always gonna be able to use a hacked client to do dumb shit. Like that's you can try and validate as much as possible, but someone's always gonna find a way to break. Like you can do your best, and you should do your best for anti-cheat, but there's just so much stuff going around that you can't control everything, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Still, I do think having that option would be good. You shouldn't take toys away from people, and that's a problem I think with Minecraft in general right now, because Minecraft has either on purpose or inadvertently given people so many toys. Like just between mending and auto fishing, the landscape of quote unquote efficient gameplay is so different from what it was a few years back that it's irreparable. You cannot take away mending, you cannot take away auto fishing without there being a fucking revolt in the streets.
Yeah, like everyone has mending on their tools now.
Like I've tried. I have made a mod that nerfs mending on purpose, and I used it in my mod pack, and people got mad on it. People got mad about it. And I understand, like you're used to something. If they take it away, it's a downgrade. It's best for you to have never had that thing in the first place, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Because again, human nature, you want the best. If whatever thing you have is say 10 power, this is a completely arbitrary number just to make the analogy easier, and someone gives you something that's 20 power, but the game was balanced and designed around 10 power, but now you have this thing that's 20 power, and you're like, oh my god, my thing is 20 power, it's so cool. And then the game designers are like, man, you can't have that thing that's 20 power, it's too strong, so it's taken away from you. Then you go back to 10 power, and you're like, I missed my 20 powered thing. But if you were never given a 20 powered thing, you would have had a better experience because you would be playing with 10 power when the game was balanced for 10. But since you already got the taste of 20, when you go back to 10, you're like, man, this sucks. Even though when you examine gameplay, 10 is much better than 20 because 20 will be too strong and trivialize the game. But that's human psychology, you know? When you have something good and it's taken away, you're like, man, this sucks now, you know? It's better just to try and be a little bit more conservative and not give players something too strong, because then when you take it away, they're going to be mad at you.
And if you try buffing everything else, it could lead to power creep.
I mean, I think if you buff everything accordingly, it's fine, but that's not really the answer. It's not really the answer. Like, how are you going to buff everything accordingly to the level of mending and fishing? At that point, you just break the whole game.
Yeah, well, take Elytra, for example. I remember Dragon014, they did a video on the problem with the Elytra, and they said, well, now pretty much any other form of transport, once you've got Elytra, is completely useless. You could try buffing minecart speed, you could try buffing horse speed, you could try buffing a bunch of stuff, but that could lead to power creep and have the first item of transport that you get be ridiculously fast. And I don't know whether that would lead to power creep, but it's certainly something to take into account.
I don't think the Elytra itself was a mistake. I think the rockets were.
Yeah, I think that might have been the point of the video. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, rockets are something.
Because the Elytra is a lot of fun. It's a great item. But then you just mix it with rockets, and it's like, well, minecarts, boats, horses, everything is now obsolete.
Riding pigs, don't forget.
Who rides pigs? This is the point I wanted to get to, though. Like, when adding content, and you were saying this earlier, but one thing you have to be very careful of is what does this content kill? A lot of times when you add something, something else is obsoleted by the thing you added. And you have to be careful. It's okay to obsolete some things under some contexts. Like, if there's a thing you need to go to the end city to get, and it'll obsolete something from the really, really early game. Like, let's say you get an improved crafting table. It does something cool, whatever, that you then replace the normal crafting table with. I personally think that's fine, because the normal crafting table still gets plenty of use throughout the entire rest of the game. Actually, not that example, because the crafting table is really iconic, and you would kind of like change the way you see the game by changing that, but you get my point.
Yeah.
You have to be careful not to obsolete something that's already best in class, in my opinion. Like, what's something in the game right now that's best in class? Diamond Pickaxe, for example, right? Let's say you add a new ore to the end. Let's say you add the Amethyst. Sure, you add Amethyst to the end, and the Amethyst tools are really, really strong, and they're better than Diamond. You obsolete the Diamond tools. And
yeah, that's why we're probably not going to add something like that in any of the mods that we're planning. Oh, Emerald tools and armor, sorry.
You obsolete Diamond tools. And diamonds, in my opinion, are already a bit of a mess, because you don't need to get a lot of diamonds. In my opinion, mending obsoletes diamond mining, because you don't have to go and get more. Once you have a full set, mending on all of them, you never need a single diamond again for anything else.
And you can also get them from trading with villagers.
Yeah. So, a lot of content that's been added over the years has obsoleted mining. And that's, I think, the main reason why people are asking for a cave update. It's because mining is inefficient. If you are playing to the best of your ability, you are not going to be mining much. I'm sure you're going to mine a little bit, but not much. There is very little incentive. There's very little incentive to go back to caves afterwards. When you compare this to gameplay a few years ago, and it's like, well, I'm out of iron, I'm out of diamonds, I'm out of rest, I'm gonna go mine. Like, the only reason you would go mine nowadays is lapis?
You can trade lapis from villagers.
Yeah. But that's kind of limited, though. But, like, what else would you need in a large quantity?
Stone?
I mean, yeah, but that you can just make it just go mine straightforward. You get a lot of stone. Yeah, that's fine. Make a cobble jam.
How about diorite? I want some diorite.
But you get my point. Like, just mining for ores, which is something so essential of Minecraft, has been... It's not been removed from the game, that's the thing. It's just been obsoleted by other content.
Yeah, like shipwreck loot and things.
When adding new content, you have to be careful that it doesn't obsolete old content. And sometimes it's not immediately relevant that it does. Like, oh, witches drop redstone, that's fine. Haha, no, it's not. Because you just make a witch farm and you never have to mine for redstone again, you know? You have to be careful with when you add something. You have to try to understand how are players going to exploit this to the absolute best of their ability. Like, if you were trying to break the game, how would you do it with this?
I imagine that's probably why Mojang didn't immediately add honey blocks, not sticking to slime blocks, because they probably wanted to wait for Quark with the coloured slime blocks and the other Dars pack with it, just to see how OP it could possibly get. And they're like, okay, so if we add one new block that doesn't stick to slime blocks, now that's going to happen. Cool? And they're like, alright, it seems to be going for now, and the technical community is happy, so I think we made it. We didn't break anything.
Yeah. The honey blocks are sweet. They do a lot of cool stuff.
Oh yeah, like the whole bees feature, like they're so well polished. Like that's like 1.15 is a small update, and some people are kind of disappointed with the bees because they're like, oh, I want a cave update, but they added bees as if those are like actually would replace one another, like random rubbish logic. But like the bees by themselves, despite being small, they're very kind of self-contained and very connected and interrelated with each other. Whereas something like 1.10 got a bunch of random miscellaneous features with a very kind of vague theme. It's almost like the opposite of 1.10. 1.10 had a large scope but barely anything in it, and 1.15 had a very small scope but a lot within that.
Yeah. I kind of like the way you're doing updates nowadays. They make like really nice content updates with like a very interesting team on them. Like 114 was a really, really good update. 113 was really good too. 116 is looking pretty spicy as well. But 112 was nice. They had some cool stuff. And like the recipe book and the tutorials was incredible. Like that was a thing that's been needed since the inception of the game. Like it doesn't improve the game for experienced players, but it's just such a massive thing that I can finally just be like, here, I play Minecraft. And the game just lets you get into it, because usually you have to be like, okay, here, let's play. What?
Not to mention all the data-driven stuff they added.
Mm-hmm. Like, people don't give enough credit to the recipe book and the advancement system at all.
Also, 1.13 and 1.14 have been great inspiration to take vanilla content from. Just kind of understanding what Mojang would do if they revamped the oceans, and say, okay, well, how can we apply that to if they revamp the end, or if they revamp the underground? So yeah, it's very good inspiration.
There is a thing I want to do at some point, probably next month sometime. I want to make a video just listing the Quark Underground Update features and be like, here's what an Underground Update could be like, here's what's in Quark. Hey Mojang, if you're listening, you have permission to include this, just as if I had signed your ULA in the feedback site. Yeah, there you go.
That would be lovely. That's what I'm trying to do with my mods, but the feedback site keeps removing posts because they're too similar.
Yeah,
like, the name is similar to the other ones. It's so annoying. I wish they'd fix that.
There's no way I can put Cave Update. It's just gonna immediately get removed, you know?
I mean, Cave Update's pretty much the most upvoted thing on the site, and, like, the bunch of ideas within it are kind of meh, but, like, they don't care. That's the first post that had the Cave Update. They're removing all the others, and which means the person who made that post, their ideas get more viewers than everyone else who put their similar ones in the comments. So it's kind of broken.
Yeah, I understand what they're trying to do, but it didn't work all that great. I mean, I can just make the video and then send it directly to Mojang. just DM everyone I know at Mojang. Here, watch this.
Good luck.
No, that's actually the plan. Like, unironically, that's the plan.
That's what I want to do as well, but I don't know how I'd be able to do it very well.
I have a bunch of stuff that could be put in there, like iron chains. You might not think Picarang, yes, but you might not think like iron chains are. Excuse me, I was drinking water. You might not think that iron chains are immediately a Cave Update thing, but like, well, now we can link mine carts. Now we can make trains when you put stuff in a chest and it goes away. You know, that's fun. You can link stuff that way, you know. So
fair enough.
I want to make a video about all the Quark features that would be a Cave Update thing, and then present that to Mojang. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. That's my plan for next month after I get the current ongoing Quark update out. It's a fairly small update, only has like 3K features, but still, they're there.
Sounds like a good plan. I've been trying to do the same thing for my Caves and Combat podcast. A fair bit of it is predicting stuff, like what they're going to do with the fletching and smithing tables, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
I would like to see what they're gonna do with the fletching table, personally.
Well, King Lemming at the moment, he's been making some arrow variants, and I suspect that the fletching table is probably gonna make stuff like that.
No, he doesn't have any plans for the fletching table.
Yeah, but he's adding arrow variants, just not in the fletching table. Mm-hmm. And the same with the quiver.
Cameron, was it you who made that quiver thing where it switches with the hotbar?
Yeah, I just did it using a very bodgy way. Basically, I used the hotbar switching that they added in 1.12, I think, and then I think I did a bit of editing, and I also used a macro to make sure that it would switch out my hotbar and also release the arrow or something like that. But it was done in a really bodgy way. I think I talked to some data pack makers, and they said they would be able to do it.
Oh, that's fairly trivial. That's really trivial to do for mods. Like, easy. I was thinking you could fill the quiver with the fletching table.
Yeah.
Like you use the fletching table to put stuff inside the quiver.
It might be a little bit annoying because you have to carry the fletching table around.
For the smithing table, nothing immediately comes to mind. I thought about specialization, like specializing a tool. So something like Silk Touch would not be an enchantment anymore, it would be a specialization. And you would have to specialize the tool using special items you would only get from specific content. Like, to get Silk Touch, you would have to, do something in some specific biome that would have a Silk Touch specialization item. and that would be separate from enchanting.
That's kind of like what Reagent Chant was based upon. I have a kind of reverse idea, like with my data-driven combat stats, like knockback, attack, speed, damage, durability, and reach. That'd all be customizable instead, those base things. And enchantments would instead be delegated to new stuff like Riptide or loyalty, that sort of stuff. Whereas it would tie in pretty well because at the time I'd had it so the server config would change those base values. But you could also make it intended in survival by having a little slider. You pull one up, the others go down. You've got a set amount of points that you can delegate to each. Maybe you can get more by adding iron to the smithing table. But it basically allows you to kind of customize your weapons so that there's a survival way to also use the customizable combat feature. I don't know if they'd go that far, but I can't really imagine anything else that they'd do that people would be happy with.
I'd like to have something like Terraria, where each item has a special modifier and you can reforge it using the smithing table.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, base stats similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Terraria is such an inspiration for Minecraft.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that's really cool. For the smithing table, though, it's either that, the base stats, or specialization for me. I'm sure you could find some other uses for it, but those are the main things I like to have in there.
Well, I mean, it's got to be something big, because they delayed it.
Another thought I had would be skins. So, let's say you're underground and you go to a dungeon, you find a pickaxe ornament kit. And you can then go and apply that to your pickaxe, and it would give you kind of like how the loom looks like right now. It will give you this little list of skins you can have on your pickaxe, and that could be advancement tied. So you can't have this really cool one with an Eye of Ender in the tip until you kill a dragon. So on and so forth.
So it's kind of like the pillager banner. That has more patterns than you can put on a banner, which means the only way to get it is when you kill a lead pillager.
Yeah, but it's just a generic ornament kit. It's an ornament kit. You put it on the smithing table, and then it shows all the list. You can only have one skin. It consumes the ornament kit, but the skins you can choose are tied to the things you've done.
Yeah. There was a really good post that was 4 months old, and I only just found the time to comment on it today. But it's called "How to Give Combat Depth," and I think they mentioned aesthetic changes when you customize your tools and weapons. You can also do it aesthetically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some sort of item customization could be interesting, because right now there's not a lot of ways for you to express yourself other than your skin, and your skin gets covered up with armor. You can have a banner on your shield. That's pretty cool. But I was thinking, again, as well as the skins, you could have a tabard, which would be a banner. You could have a little plume on your helmet, which would be 2 colors. You can customize the skins of your items, again, with the ornament kits. You can customize your elytra as well. There's mods that let you add the banner to the elytra, which is really cool.
That would be lovely. There's
all sorts of things you can do there that would be interesting, that I think is very much an explore design space. Vanilla tries doing that now in Bedrock Edition with the emotes they're adding now. You have stuff in the character creator, but the thing is that anything you do in the character creator just ends up getting covered by your armor, which is what you're going to be wearing all the time, you know? It's tough. It's tough.
I had an idea for a enchantment for armor that would basically make your armor kind of aura type. So for example, it could have a similar pattern to the charged creeper, how it's just animated and kind of half invisible, or it could be like the world border, just something so you can kind of show off your skin but still have the armor on.
Yeah. Quark has the glints in the runes, so you can enchant the item and then put a rune on it and it changes to that color. That's a step. For the armor, though, that's an issue because you need to make sure players can know what armor the other ones are wearing.
Yeah.
That's why there's that little brown spot in the leather armor, you know. You can't go too far.
You have to make it so they can see the armor but show the skin.
You should be able to add a banner to a hat, though. Because you can already wear a banner. That's already in there. So just make it so the banner is combined with the hat, and boom, it shows the banner as well. I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of potential design space there when it comes to adding in this type of stuff. That's something I want to explore in Quark.
There was also something, the podcast, The Spawn Chunks, one of the guys in there, Joel Duggan, whenever he plays Minecraft, he only plays it with iron armor, partially to give him a bit of a challenge, but partially because he doesn't really like how diamond armor looks, how it's really vibrantly blue. And I mean, you can change it with texture packs, but I guess that's when other people are looking at him. But he has a specialized resource pack for when he's mining and things, because he doesn't really like blue. And it will also be cool if you could just dye iron armor or dye diamond armor and stuff like that. Just basic aesthetic changes like that.
As I said, you should be able to have it a art.
That at the very least.
Just stick a banner on your chest plate. Boom. There you go.
And something else I was thinking of was what are the different ways to edit vanilla code?
Editing vanilla code most of the time is not something you have to do. Like, a lot of the time, if you're making mods with Forge already does it for you. You can just listen to an event and say, well, when this happens, do this. When a player right-clicks, you can check if they have the item you added and do that. There's only very fringe cases where you have to go into the vanilla code and edit it. It's a black box for non-modded players, in my opinion. Someone might be like, hey, can you add, when you right-click a pig, the pig explodes. And you're like, well, yeah, that's trivial. It just takes, 4 lines of code. And then someone's like, can you make it so you can ride the pig without a carrot on a stick? And I'm like, well, that's gonna take, a few dozen lines of ASM and some... you don't exactly know what requires everything vanilla code and what it doesn't, because it's very hard to explain to a vanilla player that this thing has a hook for it and the other one doesn't. There's no specific pattern. For editing vanilla code, though, generally what you do is use a system called ASM, which is before the game runs, it runs some special code that passes the vanilla code through your code, and then you can be like, okay, at this point in this function, I want to change these bits of code to have this other bit of code. It's very complex. It's a few layers over Java. You have to write a lot to make a very simple change. But that's the best we can do without just going in and editing the code itself, which is not something that's recommended in the slightest. That's just terrible. Because that's going to be incompatible with everything ever. But it's doable.
I believe Smelly tried to do that for the end portal, and when we are on DevCraft, since the end wasn't completely refreshed properly, the end portal just kept spawning on top of itself. So yeah, it's got a lot of potential to break everything.
Yeah, and it's very easy to break with other mods that are also doing that, specifically Optifine. Optifine does it a lot. Optifine ASMs into a lot of code all over the place. So it's happened to me a lot of times where I change something and it's like, oh, it works fine. And then someone goes in with Optifine and it just immediately explodes. Optifine in particular is a mess because it's closed source. So you can't really do anything with it. And a lot of people use it. So it's definitely torn in my back sometimes.
Yeah. So if mix-ins become widespread, or if they're possible, I don't know if they are already, how do you see them impacting things?
Okay, so for those of you who are listening, mix-ins are a technology that basically allows you to edit the code in a much cleaner way than just directly ASMing into it. Mix-ins are now available for Forge, which is really sweet. I haven't had a chance to figure out how they work in Forge yet, or in Fabric. I've never had work with Fabric myself. I'm cautiously optimistic. They are going to make editing the vanilla code a lot easier, but there's also the possibility that people are going to go wild with power and every mod's going to have 20,000 mix-ins. I don't know. I think we'll just have to see. I urge people to try and keep it to a minimum, because the more mix-ins and ASM you have, exponentially the possibility of mods breaking when put in the same environment just goes up and up and up.
Mm-hmm. And mix-ins are a lot easier to do, yes? They're written in Java?
They are written in Java, yes. The thing with mix-ins is that Fabric has a very NPM-like structure. NPM is the node package manager, And you have a lot of small packages, a lot of mods that just add a little bit of code, add a mixin to do this, add a hook to do that. That's not as prevalent in Forge. In Forge, what we tend to have are really big libraries by individual modders or by modder teams that do a lot of things that a modder needs. So there tends to be a lot of repeated code in that. That's just a problem with both mixins and ASM. That if we start hooking into a lot of things, if multiple libraries hook into a thing, there's a very high chance that they don't do it completely safely and everything breaks. Again, mixins are not as essential in Forge as they are in Fabric, because in Fabric, the amount of stuff Fabric does to the game is very, very minimal. Forge has hooks in all different parts of the game to allow mods to do all sorts of things. It's not as essential of a technology, but I'm sure it's going to be used for a lot of good things.
It's good to hear. I've also heard about something called Axios Transformers. What sort of stuff are they used for?
Axios Transformers are used to... Let's say there's a variable in the game, and the variable is declared as not visible. It's private. So if you make your own code, your own mod code, you have to use a hack called reflection, which is, okay, Java, I do not have access to this field over here, to this variable. Please tell me what's in there anyway, and that's going through a few layers. No, that's why it works. It goes through a few layers to get to the memory and grab what's in there and then gives it to you. So you technically can read something you don't have access to. It's a hack. It's fairly slow compared to just reading the variable. An Axios Transformer is just, okay, well, when the game is loaded, change it to be public so I can see it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it.
And that's useful for editing vanilla stuff or doing vanilla style modding as well?
It's basically just used to access vanilla code. It's sometimes you need to grab stuff from there. It's not necessary. Anything you can do with it, you can do with reflection. So it's cleaner and it's faster, but players are not going to notice it.
Makes sense. Any other techniques for vanilla style? I know when I've been adding stuff, I've just made, if the constructor is protected, I've made a subclass of that and then made it extend that and overrided whatever methods I want.
You don't have to do that. Now you can do with it with an access transformer.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't learned to do that yet.
You can change it from protected to public.
I mean, I've got things that override. So, for example, if I wanted a door to electrify something, I'd have to add an on activation.
I mean, yeah, in that case you would. There are cases where you just override to make it public, where an access transformer would do that.
I'll have to learn how to use that.
I mean, there's a lot of techniques you can override vanilla content. Forge's going to complain about it, but you can do it. Quark used to do it a lot. I don't think it does nowadays.
Any other notable ones?
Actually, in 1.14 they added tags, which are an absolute blessing. Like, I just wish more things use tags.
That's like Or Dictionary of vanilla, right?
It's way better than an Or Dictionary, because you can say, here's the fence tag. And the game can just pull from the fence tag and know what blocks connect to fences. So, if you have walls, for example, walls use a tag to know what other blocks to connect to. So, in 1.12, they would usually check against block wall. So if your wall was its own custom thing and not block wall, it wouldn't get it. But now you can just put it in the tag and it figures it out. Tags are awesome. You should definitely have a look at what tags are there and do stuff with them.
That's great to hear. I have played around a little bit with them.
Tags are necessary since 1.13 because of the flattening. Yeah, like tags are awesome. And in general, though, they're just making the code a lot more friendly.
Yeah, moving some more stuff to JSON as well.
Yeah, WorldGen's a bit of a pain right now. It's in this interim period where everything is under 20 billion abstraction layers and they haven't JSONed it yet. But once they JSON it, it's going to be sweet.
That'd be good to hear.
Yeah. One of the things I do recommend you try to do when you're making a mod in general is try to be as far away as possible from vanilla. So let's say you have an item and the item has a right click function. I highly recommend you have some sort of way of handling that is not immediately tied to the vanilla code, because when a vanilla update happens and they change that code, like everything you did just has to be changed everywhere. Try to abstract a little bit in a way.
Yeah, makes sense. So that doesn't compromise feature-wise. It just means editing a little bit more code that's more future-proof.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This can come in a lot of ways, but generally having a unified way to register items helps a lot. Items and blocks.
Yeah, Smelly Blast was helping me with creating one that would also register block items, and that used general variable types as the one with the greater than, lesser than symbols that are kind of like used as brackets. What are they called?
Oh, generics.
Yeah,
Yes.
generic. That's what it's called. I keep calling them abstract.
That's not abstract. That's a different thing. Autoreglib, the library that Quark uses, does all of that nonsense for you. You just make a new block, and it sets it up. Creative tab, makes the block item, links all that stuff together. It's great. Having that is always good. You should always have like some sort of generic way to do that type of stuff to alleviate your workload.
Yeah, I've been learning. I've been kind of getting back into Java code because I learned how to do object-oriented programming stuff at high school, which was like 2 years ago. And then I learned how to do lambda expressions the other day, and also generic file types. So I've just been kind of honing my object-oriented skills by kind of like figuring out how to set up a registry, how to extend stuff, how to make new instances of blocks and make them have special behavior. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, you should definitely go and learn that. It's not the seven-headed beast people make it out to be. Like, there are a lot of intricacies and things, but just to get a basic thing going, you don't need that much skill. You need to put in some dedication into it for new people. By the way, FYI, I highly recommend you watch our Introduction to Game Design talk from the Minecon 2019. It should be in the description. I will make sure it's in the description.
Yeah, that's a quality video.
That will definitely give you a lot of pointers and ways for you to get started. There's a lot of good tutorials out there. I know people tend to go with MCGT tutorials or McGT or however you pronounce his name. I don't even know. He's a robot.
MCJTY for anyone who's
MCJTY. Okay, but that's one set of good tutorials. There's a bunch of other ones, but you can always find something that fits you and learn how to do modding. It's like for something basic, it's not difficult, and then you can just expand from there.
Yeah.
Just please, for the love of God, do not make a more tools mod.
No emerald tools, whatever you do.
No emerald tools, no obsidian tools, no lapis tools. That's the trifecta of no.
Yeah, but what about nether star tools?
If they do something special, I'll let it slide. But if they just exist...
Oh, jeez. I thought I was going to kill you with that.
Here's the thing. These ideas are not inherently bad. They are just so overdone that no one wants to see them. I feel like if you're going to do something, it should be something you would like in the game and not Bobby's first mod.
And also, they're just not very creative in general. They don't tend to be. They have the potential to be, but how much can you really do with a new tier of stuff that's already kind of not really needed?
Yeah. You have to think of like, here's a simple thing like in a game. Here's a new block. Here's a new item that crafts some other item, you know? Like, you can start by doing these basic things, like just a simple block that looks good. It doesn't even have to be a unique texture. You can ask a texture pack maker to borrow it. I'm sure they'll be cool with that.
And also, there are a lot of asset makers in Minecraft Nulls.
Yeah, you can just go there and ask for something if you need it. But yeah, start with a really simple block, then go like, let's add stairs and slabs for it. Let's add an item. Let's add this and that. And eventually, you'll be doing cool mods.
Yep.
That's it. I think that's about it, really. You don't have to do ASM, you don't need an Axios Transformer, you don't need none of that nonsense for basic stuff.
Sounds like some good advice. Thanks for coming on the show, Vazkii, and thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, let us know by leaving a like, and if you really enjoy what we do, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Special thanks to Adele for pledging $5 this month. Patrons and people who nitro boost the Minecraft Abnormals Discord server get access to a super secret mod with a lot of interesting plans. There will be more episodes of the Minecraft Ideas Academy later on, so if that interests you, subscribe and hit the bell, and soon it should be up for you to enjoy. And if you enjoy all that Vazkii does for the modding community, consider supporting him on Patreon too. He is in a tough spot right now, so any pledges would be greatly appreciated by him. Vazkii, anything else you want to plug?
For me, well, there should be links in the description for my stuff. You can find Quark in there, which, well, there's a lot of stuff for you to find out. I'm sure you're gonna relate to some of the features in there. More stuff coming soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's all good. So thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Do you have a catchphrase? Because I have a catchphrase.
You have a catchphrase?
Yeah. Do you want to hear it?
Okay, go ahead.
Until next time, stay abnormal.
I would have rather not hear that, but okay. All right. See you, folks.
See ya.
Have a good one.